Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome to week 35 of Build Your Stash and Craft. And this week we are going to play with the cone type coffee filters. And I've always been infatuated with these coffee filters. We don't use this kind, we use the cup kind, but they're so neat in their texture and their thickness that I've always wanted to do something with them, so I figured we're going to do something with them. We got these at Walmart for $1.84, and so that's where you can pick these up at. They don't have this type at the Dollar Tree, but that's not a bad price. You get 100 of them, and they really are fun to play with. So what are we going to make with these? There's so many things that I came up with that we could make. This is a rolled rose that I made with the coffee filter, and then here is another flower. And we're also going to make this flower stamen today. We're going to make our own flower stamen. And I think that those are really cool. That's not with the coffee filters, but we're going to make those so we can put some stamen in our flowers. You can make angel wings. And these ones I just put some of my glitter nail polish on. And you can also make very large angel wings like this. You can make any kind of little embellishments. The paper is just so neat. And also I thought that it would be cool because this paper will soak up our inks that we made so nicely. You can make paper feathers, and it's just a great weight for that. And then you can make like additives to your junk journals. And this is just a coffee filter. I cut a piece of book paper the same shape. I just cut off two of the sides of the coffee filter. And then I used my inks that we made at just after Easter. I used those to stain it, and it stained all the way through all three pieces. Well, I did this side and I did this side. It didn't stain all the way through all of them. So, and then we can make little tuck spots for journals. This one, I cut off one of the sides, and then I just covered it with some of my papers. And then here's one that I did not cut, so it's open like this. And you could use this. The thing that gave me this idea was I saw a lady, she was stuffing a coffee cup holder. And you know, like when you buy coffee at a place to go, like Starbucks or something, and you get that little sleeve on there, a coffee sleeve. And when she said coffee sleeve, it made me think of this. And when I looked at it, it was actually like the kind that fits around a coffee cup. But it made me think this would make a really nice thing to put all different kinds of goodies in and make a tray, decorate them up however you want to. This one I did with just water glue and some of my painty papers. And then I just went around it with my permanent marker and different decorative stitches and that type of thing. Kind of doodled on it a little bit. So those are all the things you can do with coffee filters. Now, I think that this is a really cute idea. This was my first thought when I bought them, was a stuffed envelope or a stuffed coffee filter and pockets. But what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you how to make the flowers and the angel wings, because this is basically just all you have to do is decorate it. So you can do that. But I'm going to show you, because of the shape of the filters, it's really good to make some of these things. Now, the flowers, I like the texture of this paper for the flowers. But for the feathers, you have this beautiful rounded spot right here that makes a perfect feather. And all you have to do for that is I cut off this little tab that's on here. Like that, and now you've got a nice rounded edge. And then what I do is just open it up to the side that's folded and put a little snip in there, just so you have a place for your wire to come out. And then what we're going to do is take a piece of wire, approximately the length of this with a little extra. I need my wire cutters, here they are, and just cut a piece of wire. And then we're going to want it to kind of bend just a little bit so that we've got our feather like that. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to take just some plain old white glue and just squirt some of it in here, just on this part right here, this half. And I had a paintbrush here I had to clean up for Papa to have breakfast. Here it is. Okay, and then just spread that around with a paintbrush. Make sure that you go kind of around this way so that you've got that part of your feather, and then come all the way out to the edge. And then just take your wire and stick it in there. And you're going to want it to stick out the point down here. Just put it in there, and then just press your other side down. And make sure that you press really well on both sides of that wire. Turn it over and press down again on both sides of the wire. And then you can just set that aside to dry. I've got one here that's already dry, or you could dry it with your heat gun if you've got that. I did get my heat gun this week. They said it would be excuse me, 2 weeks from Walmart, but it was really only a week. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to trim up straight next to the bottom of the wire to give yourself like just that little bit of, it's not a stem on a feather, but whatever. It looks like a stem. And then you're just going to kind of round out like this. And then before you get to the point, you're going to kind of start rounding back in. And then you're going to swoop out past this piece of wire. So you've got that sticking up there because the top part of your feather will not have wire in it. And then my wire is here. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm just going to start rounding this way just until I hit the outside of that coffee filter. And there we go. That side's already rounded for you. And then the only other thing that I do is I come down here to the bottom and I kind of round it in a little bit and then go straight down next to that wire so that you have that stem down there at the bottom. And there's your feather. Now these feathers, just take that ink that we have so beautifully. Now all you need to do is just first, I cut mine first. And so I'm just going to cut on an angle at a downward angle from the point downwards at an angle. And don't go past halfway because otherwise you'll cut your point off. Once you get to that wire, then you can just snip, snip, snip all the way to that wire because you can't go past the halfway point. The closer that you get them together, the more they'll kind of curl a little bit. The wider they are, the more they will stay straight. And you can do them, you don't have to like try and make them even at all. Just snip, 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 because, you know, feathers never look perfectly even when you see them, and they, you know, have their little rough areas. And so it's just easy to just snip very fast, right? That wire stops your scissors. Unless you press too hard, you could probably cut through that wire, but, and you're just going to continue all the way till you get to the point where you made that little stem, and that's where you'll stop. And then just go to the other side at the top, angle again downwards, but just little nips. Be very careful not to go over and touch one of your cuts from the other side. Until you get to that wire, you have to be very careful or you'll cut your point off. Now I'm at the wire, so now I can just snip, snip, snip. Again, just keeping that angle, because that's what makes it look like a feather. And then as soon as you get this done, you can dye it with your dyes of any color, or you can leave it white and just put glitter on it. You can paint it with your glitter glue, paint it with your paints. If I was going to paint it with my acrylic paints, I would paint it first and cut it second, because the acrylic paints would kind of like want to glue it together in spots, and you wouldn't have your nice fluffy look. And there we go. That's what our feather turned out looking like. And then you've got this rigid piece that you have left here that's like that. That makes, I just cut some of those off when I just want to use the paper. So I just cut to here, and then cut up here, and that makes a really cool chevron. Then I just kind of fold it up like this, cut it like that so both sides are even, and there you've got a chevron. I have a whole bunch of these so I could line them right up on a piece of paper, and I'll be right back and we'll color this feather. Okay, I'm back, and I've decided to dye this feather with the red and the purple, which really is pink and purple the way it turns out, from our dyes that we made earlier. And I just pulled out a couple of paintbrushes. What I've done is I've chosen my least favorite paintbrushes out of the set that we bought. And the tan-handled ones are the ones that I like the least, because this is going to stain the bristles even when you wash them. So I didn't want to use my favorite ones and have them be stained, although a stain wouldn't hurt anything. And I'm just going to take the purple and run it down the center, and maybe a little bit wider in the middle. And you really don't need to have a whole lot on your brush. And I'm not really sure why, but I prefer the darker colors in the middle. Now the back looks really, I'm going to leave the back right now. And all I've done is I've set this on a on another what you call it, that coffee filter that I had cut the other side off of to make some flowers, because then when this goes through a little bit, it gets on that coffee filter, and then I have a really pretty coffee filter to play with. So I'm just dipping my brush into the dye, and then just letting it soak in to the feather. And you want to get right up to that other color, or into even a little bit, so that they'll kind of spread together. And the wetter you do it, like I had stopped to show you the filter and stuff, the wetter the purple is when you do the pink, the more that they will blend together. Just turn that a little bit. But I love the way that these dyes just soak in. But you could do this, you could color it with watercolor markers, and then spray it with some water and see what that would do, because it would soak that water up. And I'm going to guess it would maybe make those watercolors spread. So there we've got our color on our feather, and then when you turn it over, you've got spots where it's still white. And so you can either go in, like I do want to paint the tip up here. The rest of the white I'm just going to leave because I really kind of like that. And then I'm going to just take a little bit of purple, a little bit more purple, and I'm just going to kind of draw that up into the feathers, so it's, I don't want quite such a solid, I had quite a solid line there, a solid separation of the two colors, and I really didn't want it like that. So I'm going to draw some of that purple up into there. And I think I like that, just like that. A little bit more right there. And then if you want, you can even, if you want to lighten up that center, I think possibly if you take a little bit of the pink and put that in the center, that'll kind of give it a little bit lighter color. And so there we go. There we have it. That's our beautiful feather. I think that turned out really nice. Kind of put something behind it. I like the way that turned out. And then when that's dry, you can either blow dry it, or you can just let it dry. After you dry it, you'll kind of ruffle up the little things on the feathers. And then if you want it to be sparkly, like this one is sparkly, then just put a little bit of your glitter on there, or glitter glue. I don't know if you can see that sparkle or not. This is just a little bit of glitter nail polish that I just kind of touched the edges. I just kind of dry brushed it. And I did put a little bit on the back side also. So that's our feathers. And now I'm going to show you, yes, I have enough time. I'm going to show you real quick how to make your flower stamen so that they can start drying. But let me quick get this out of the way. What you're going to need is you're going to need your texture paste and your string. And so all you have to do, and you'll need You'll need your drying rack for the beads that we did for the paper beads. And we're just going to stir this up. Now with this one, because I want this to be a little bit loose, I'm not taking the fluid off the top when I stir it. Sometimes if I want it to be a little bit thicker, I'll pour the liquid off the top into a separate little container. Use it as it's a little thicker consistency, and then pour that water back on the top, because it's not water, it's some kind of fluid that comes out of your texture paste. So, this is actually our Max Patch spackle from the Dollar Tree. And all you're going to do, and this is what, I'll show you what these look like if I can. This is what the stamen look like when you get them done. And you can make them thick, you can make them thin. This one here is long, and then these ones are just little tiny buds here. And all I'm doing is, this is the drying rack that we made in the bead, when we made the paper beads. And I'm just hanging my stamen over the little rod where you usually hang your paper clips. So I'll just put this, I'm going to put this right here, so that as I do this, I can hang them up. These are all dry, so I'm going to put those down to the edge. Okay, so all you're going to do is take however long you want your stamens to be and cut a piece of your twine that long. And then just hold it in the middle, grab your skewer, and just push the point right into your spackle, just the point. Now, if you make this and you think, after it dries and you think it's too skinny, and this is what it's going to look like. And then you can dye it any color with your dyes. Again, the spackle takes the dye really well. Now, that was a full thickness of your string, and so you can make it any thickness that you want. You can take your string and kind of split it in half, so that the stem of your stamen will not be as wide. So you just pull it in half like that. And then I just fold it in half, and then just push just the point in there. Just let it catch some of that spackle. And if you don't think it's thick enough once it dries, there we go. You just, after it's dry, put it back in again. Now, the reason that I'm hanging it over top of the thing is because you don't want the two sides to touch, or they will stick together. So, and then with the other half, I'm just going to show you, you can take it apart so that you have just one little string out of there, and you get a whole lot of strings out of one little tiny piece of twine. And then you can, they barely take any Max Patch. You could probably make thousands and thousands out of just one thing of twine. This one's still got two together. I'm going to leave those two together so it'll be a little thicker. I kind of like to have different size stems depending on what size flower I'm going to make, which one I think might look better. So again, there's that one. And then just put it over top of your little, can't think today. Put it over top of your skewer there. And then this one is just one thickness. And so that's hard to see, but that's what that one looks like. Now, sometimes they have a little bit of a string that sticks out on the end. You know, just because your thread here, your string here, like has a little fuzzy sticking off the end. Let it dry, and then you can just nip that off with your scissors. So you're just going to go through, and I just grabbed that one with my finger, or with the side of my hand. Okay, I didn't get any on that end, so there we go. And then the other thing that I like to do, besides just the little balls on the end, because, you know, some things have stamens that are really long and skinny, so just take your string and just put it in farther. and try and do them, you know, about the same size. So this one, if you can see that, those are very long. Well, not very long. They're about a ½ inch long. And so that's how you make your own stamen. And they work really perfectly. And then I don't color them till I'm ready to use them because I'm not sure exactly what color I may want to use. And then you just let these hang there and dry. You can dry them with your heat gun, or let them air dry, or dry them with your blow dryer. And they turn out really, really cool. And you can make them any size that you want them. That's the nice part. You don't have to go out and buy 20 sizes of stamen. And I'm going to pick these ones off that I've already done. See, these are the ones that I have already done. And the only thing is that they're not colored. I have big ones. I have little ones. This is one of the kind of long ones, long and skinny. This one here, let's see, this one. I don't know if you can see, this one has the little hair on the end, so I just trim that little hair off of there. But, so, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put these aside, and I'll be right back, and we'll make a couple flowers. Okay, I'm back, and before we make a flower, I'm going to quick show you how to make the wings. Now, on this one, I have cut off the part that I told you makes a nice chevron, the part that's crimped together. And again, I'm going to cut off that little tab right there. And hopefully the black background makes it a little better. And then what I did was this fold, which is also makes a nice, which is what makes your nice feather, also is what makes your beautiful angel wings. And so it's that fold there, and the way that it opens up that makes it so nice. And all you need to do is you're just going to round this end and make it whatever size that you want to, and then come back up until you just have that spot where it would basically be right down the spine of your angel. And that just gives you really pretty wings, and you could use them either way. So, and then how you make your wings is you just go ahead, sorry about that, and like from the point, you're just going to curve up, and then you're going to go a little bit further over, and you're just going to come right up to where you just stop, just to kind of take that out. Now you've got this point. Now that's the one that you're going to curve up. And then again, you're going to just kind of curve up to that and take that out. And then you'll take this one. And of course, you'll take more time and get them the way that you want them to be. And however big that you make them will be dependent on how many little feathers you get on your wings. I didn't quite get that one out of there. This one either. There we go. And then the final one. And if you want to leave your little feathers with points, you don't have to curve them off. You can just leave them pointy. Excuse me. And let's say you think, that's a little bit too big. You can just go ahead and curve that one up. And because I'm kind of rounding all the other ones, I need to round this one up too. So if you think you made them too big, you can kind of go in and adjust them that way. And if you make one that you just absolutely love and you think, oh, I hope I can make that again, take it, find the fold of your coffee filter, put it on the fold of your coffee filter, and draw around it. And then you will always have that pattern for if you made one that you just absolutely loved and you want to make sure that you can make it again. And to do the small angel wings, it is exactly the same. Oops. You're on the, if I can show you here, you're on the fold of your opened up whatchamacallit, and all you do is you just cut just a very small, like that, kind of curve it up and then come back out to the center. And there you have your small angel wings. So that's how you cut your angel wings, and that's how you make those, because I think that that really looks, I think that they're so pretty. And so now we'll just make a couple of flowers. Get my stamen back up there and get these little bits out of the way. And for flowers, it's just like making any other flowers. Just kind of start with a square. And then you can just fold it however you want to. Let's see. For this, I got a rectangle, not a square. Let me try this again. Okay. Fold it like that and cut this piece off, and that will give me a square. Okay, so I'm going to fold that in half, and fold that in half, and fold it in half again, just like cutting any other flowers. The more times you fold it, the more petals you'll get. And then just go around. And when you open it up, that looks good. If the back side had not been cut good enough, then you could just go in and just snip it like that. Sometimes when you cut them, you don't get through all the layers. And there we go. There's a flower. Now you make all different sizes of those, and then you can just dye them whatever colors you want to make a rolled rose, same as any other. Just make a circle. Now when I do a rolled rose, I don't like to just do a straight circle. I kind of do a wavy circle because that makes the end of my petals wavy. So just go ahead and make it as wavy as you want to. There's our circle, and then you just start at any place, and you're just going to cut a spiral to the center. But I'm going to make my spiral wavy because I want my petals to be wavy. And you just want your spiral to be about the same thickness as you go around. And there's lots of tutorials on rolled roses out there, but this does make a nice rolled rose. Now when you get to the rolled rose, this is the ending point of your rolled rose, and that's where everything gets glued to. And all you do is you start at the point that you cut first, and you just roll it around something, and you just keep rolling, trying to keep the inside kind of even. The outside's going to start really puffing out or getting wider here. But just try and keep that center line together as you go. And you just roll it, roll it, roll it. Like I said, the outside's getting puffier and puffier. Hold it together. You can glue it in little points along that line as you go. That's probably, I don't know if that'd be easy or not, because you need it to, once you get to the end, see there's that little middle part, you're going to roll like this, and you're just going to kind of set it on top of that last little bit, because that's where you're going to glue it together. And then you're going to kind of let it just, you want it to pop out this way, but you want to let it expand this way a little bit. So yeah, I don't know about putting glue on it as you go, because then it would stick right where it's at. It wouldn't be able to expand. We're going to open our glue and put some glue on there. If it wants to come out, there we go. Put some glue on there. Push all of your layers into the glue. Kind of open it up a little bit, and there's your rolled rose. Now you're just going to let that sit and dry a little bit. And then it will stick together like that, and it will look like this. So what you're going to do is just take your skewer or your pokey tool or anything like that and just kind of grab those edges a little bit and roll them out. Or you can even just use your fingers and just kind of bend them out like this. You don't have to have anything special. You can always make do. So there we go. And there we've got a little rolled rose. Now what's really cool is we can touch that with any color of our dye. I really like pink flowers. I'm not even a red or a pink girl, but I like pink flowers. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my pink and just drop it on there in a few different places and let it start soaking down. Like that. And then I think I will put a little bit of the yellow with it. I'm going to try and be very careful not to spill these. I need to take the pink off of my brush. There we go. Grab a little bit of yellow, and with the yellow, I'm going to come in from the underside and the back side and let it soak from the other direction. Like that. And then I'm just going to tap here where I've got a couple of little white spots, and then I'll just let that dry. Now we've got our ones that we cut out that look like this, and I've got a few more that look like that. First I'm going to set these aside. Okay. I'm going to take, these are 4 of my little stamens, of my tiny, tiny ones, and I'll show you this one because this one's got, see, this one's got like a little bit of a string there at the end that's sticking out. I'm going to just nip that off. There we go. Now it's more like a little bulb. And I'm going to take all of these and just set them on. I'm going to set them on this piece of paper and put a little bit of yellow and set them aside real quick to dry. And I'm putting the yellow on the spackle, on the texture paste, and not the whole stem part. But if you want to put it on the whole stem, you can do that. But I just really want to color just the little stamen portions. Let me make sure that I've got it on the back side. Yes, I do. Let me set these here. One more. Okay, and I just wanted to show you what those look like. Your very own stamens, any color that you want, and as many as you want. And it really doesn't take very long either. So you can make a lot in a very short period of time. Just thought I'd push that one on there since there was still a little bit of dampness to it. I kind of like the looks of that instead of it being solid. It's just kind of a little bit mottled. I like that. I'm going to leave that one that way. Okay, and I'm going to do, I like to do my layers in different colors. You don't have to do that. I just think that it makes them show up. Like this one is red, that one is yellow, and then I'll probably do the next one again in the littlest one in pink. Because my stamen are yellow, and the one behind it will be yellow, because this will be our first layer, that'll be our second, that'll be our center. Okay, now we're going to dry those off really quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back to put the flower together. Now we've got our stamens here, and you need to let them dry, or dry them, and then I'm just going to take one end and just line them up like this, and then I'm just going to fold them in half, make sure that they're all kind of lined up. There we go, like that, and then just give them a little twist. And then I'm going to take just a touch of our white glue, and you just need a very little bit, and just wrap that around there, or rub it around there like that to kind of stiffen that up and glue them all together. And I'm just going to set that aside for a minute. Okay, now for our flowers, we've got our mats here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a hole in all of them. Nope, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shape them. Okay, so for our bottom one, I'm just going to take our large ball tool and just rub into it like this. Rub from the center, or you can go actually from the outside to the center, and that's going to cup it up. Now this is the bottom one, so the bottom one I'm going to turn it over and press in the center and just kind of go around and around. And actually I should be using my thicker mat to do that. I'm going to do it one more time. So just go from the petal and press down into that mat, and it's going to cup those in, and then I'm going to flip it over, make sure that all my petals don't get folded under, and then I'm going to go around and around in the center. And so that's going to give them, they're going to go this way. Now I'm going to do the next layer, and the next layer I do want it to cup up, so I'm just going to go from the end of the flower, or the end of the petal, to the center, like that. And this one I also want it to cup up, so because this is just a round one and doesn't have petals, I'm just going to go around and around, and then I'm going to take my smaller ball tool this one, just go around and around to just kind of cup that one up. That one's going to go right in there. Now I'm going to poke a hole in them. So I'm just going to take our pokey tools, and I do find it easier just to use these like this instead of putting them in the handle. That handle is so large. So I'm going to take my smallest pokey tool, and I'm going to use my pokey side of my mat. I'm going to just poke a hole in there. And these are quite thick to poke a hole in. So you definitely want to use your smallest pokey tool first, then your next size. And if you want, it does have a hole in it. If you want, you can put that in the hole and just kind of push your pokey tool through like that, where there's already a hole. If there's already a hole in there, you can do it this way without chancing of ripping it. When there's no hole, I like to make sure it's on a mat before I poke it, because I don't want it to rip. And that is pretty strong material. And then we're just going to take our stamens and put them through the first center, and then the middle petals, and then the bottom petals, and then you can spread your stamen around if you want to, leave them sticking up if you want to, do it however you want. And there we go, we have a flower. Now I like to leave this on here because I don't know what project I'm going to put it on. If I'm going to put it on something flat, I would just put a little glue there and snip it off. But I might want to put it maybe on a skewer and just kind of wrap a string or a wire around there and actually have it be a flower that stands up in a pot or something. So I just leave that there until I decide exactly what I'm going to use it for, and then I would cut it off. So there's our flower with our stamen, and here's our other little rolled rose that we just stained. And let's see, what else do we have here? This is the feather that we glued originally, and I cut it out and cut it. I have not dyed it yet. Here's the rolled rose that we cut and glued. Here is the one that we painted. And like I said, you can just take your glitter nail polish, if I can figure out where I put it, here it is, and just put a little bit of sparkle on that if you want to. Now that it's dry, you can kind of fluff up your little hairs of your feather. You can kind of fluff them around because they do flatten out when you put the dye on them. When they get wet, they flatten out. And then you can just go ahead and take your nail polish, and what I do is I just kind of wipe it off pretty much so there's not a whole lot on there, and then just hit the tips like that, and then go back a little bit more. And this is not completely dry. I should have used my heat gun and dried it a little bit, because then they would be much stiffer to grab the nail polish. But just, you know, you can paint the whole thing if you want to. I just like to have just a little bit of sparkle kind of here and there. I just like the way that that looks. Just kind of randomly like that. And there's that one. So those are all the different, well, no, that's nowhere near all the different things you can do with your coffee filters. You can do lots of things with your coffee filters. As a matter of fact, so here's the coffee filter that we made our feathers out of. And this is where we cut the feather. I'll put this on here like this. So I cut out my feather, remember? And then I cut off my chevron so that I could have my chevron. Well, after I did that, I was looking at this. If you open this up like this, that looks like a calla lily to me. You could trim the back just a little bit wherever you need to. Go ahead and trim off the point. Well, I don't have my scissors right here, but trim off the point. Make yourself some tall stamen, and you could make those on wire, or you could make them on your string and wrap your string around the wire to get them to stand up straight, like calla lilies have that stamen that sticks out. But make your stamen the same way, and you would have a beautiful white calla lily. And like I said, that was just the whole coffee filter. And then we cut out our feather, and then we cut off the chevron, and this is what's left. It's glued together here because that was right next to where we cut the feather. That's where this came from. So there are just so many things you can do with these. The more you look at it, the more you'll say, wow, I could do this or I could do that. At least that's what happens to me all the time. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. There are so many wonderful, wonderful things you can make out of these. And here's the chevrons, and look at how nice they look together. And that was just by accident that I found those too. So those look really great. Beautiful flowers and beautiful feathers. Don't forget your angel wings, because it's the shape of that coffee filter that makes the feathers and the angel wings so perfectly. And then you have all of any type of embellishment, because this is just such a nice weight. You can do something with it, like curl it or whatever, but it also is kind of nice and heavy. You can make all sorts of pockets. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be back in just a minute to show you what we need for next week. Okay, I'm back, and what we're going to need for next week is this is locker wallpaper, or magnetic wallpaper, and this is what it looked like last year. And this year it looks a little bit different. This is just an old one, but this comes from the Dollar Tree. It's $1, and you'll find it in the school section and in the office supply section. But yep, this is just a full sheet of magnet. So this is a great thing to get, and get your magnet really cheap, because I believe there's 2 sheets in here. So for next week, we will need this magnetic dry erase board or locker wallpaper from the Dollar Tree for $1. And then we have $5.50 in our bank, so that will leave us with $9.50 in our bank. So I do hope that you enjoyed this week's video and learning all the different things that that I found to make with those coffee filters. I just love the texture of that coffee filter paper, and it really does a great job at making the feathers and the wings, you know, just by its shape. Here's some stamen that I had colored pink and blue. I thought I would show you that. When you color your stamen, just drop, you know, just touch it with your stains, with the inks that we made, and then let them dry. Don't rub it or anything, because this will soften up when you put that on there, and then once you let it dry, then it gets solid again. So, but yes, this is everything that I made. Oh, and the piece that I said looked like a calla lily after cutting out the feather and cutting the chevron off, yeah, it does make a nice calla lily. So here's the calla lily I made with that, and all I did was took a skewer, dunked it in the spackle, dried it, dunked it in again and dried it, and then painted it with our yellow ink, and painted the stem with green ink, the ink that we made. So, but yep, that's our calla lily. So I hope that you enjoy the things that we made this week, and I hope that you have fun playing with those coffee filters, because I know I did, and I'm sure that there are a ton more ideas out there. So if you have some ideas of what to do with them, just let me know. I'd love to try playing with that. So thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.